Before I was a father, before I was a god, I was a Spartan.
Hearing that line again already tells you something big is happening. Okay guys, this is honestly crazy. God of War, Sons of Sparta just got shadow dropped on PS5 out of nowhere. And it's our first new God of War game in years. So the hype and pressure are both huge. It's this smaller, digital-only 2D Metroidvania-style God of War that throws us back to Kratos' brutal Spartan training days with his brother Deimos, way before the Norse saga, and it's got the fanbase more fired up than some full-blown AAA releases. Instead of the usual over-the-shoulder cinematic vibe we're used to, this one leans into tight platforming, exploration, and old-school combat in a side-scrolling world, while still keeping that angry, heavy God of War energy. If you're a God of War fan, you need to watch this video till the end to know everything that you need to know. Okay, so when Sons of Sparta appeared at Sony's State of Play in early February, not only did it catch a ton of people off guard, it dropped instantly the same day it was revealed. That surprise launch alone was wild enough, but the fact that it's a full-on 2D action platformer Metroidvania from the beloved God of War franchise is what sent people over the edge. Normally, God of War games are massive 3D cinematic experiences with sweeping stories and brutal combat, the kind of AAA titles where every line on Kratos' beard is individually rendered. So seeing the franchise go pixel style, side-scrolling with exploration and backtracking built into the core design, well, that's enough to make fans both curious and suspicious. So right away, it wasn't just that the game existed, it was the way it existed. Sons of Sparta is canon. It's a prequel that takes place before God of War Ascension, and even before the flashbacks from Ghost of Sparta, following a much younger Kratos when he was still training at the brutal Spartan Agoge alongside his brother Deimos. I mean, instead of blades of chaos and huge 3D arenas, you're running around sprawling 2D maps with a spear and shield, picking up divine gifts of Olympus, and unlocking abilities to backtrack and explore hidden paths. A lot of people weren't expecting that. Fans have spent years waiting on news about the next mainline game or even remakes of the originals. And suddenly, here's this side project that's technically in the same timeline but plays it so differently. It's the 10th game in the God of War series, but the first chronologically, and it dropped like a bolt from the blue. The kind of thing that makes you pause on your playlist and go, wait, what? Once the dust settled, people started diving into exactly what this game is and how it works. The combat is an interesting mix. You start with classical Spartan tools, a spear, the dory, and a shield, the aspis. And from there, you unlock divine powers called Gifts of Olympus that give Kratos special attacks or movement boosts. Instead of relying on the big cinematic finishers the series is known for, this game makes you think in terms of tactical engagements, positioning, and ability use, which feels surprisingly deep once you start building your skill kit. And it isn't just combat. Exploration genuinely matters here. You'll find loot, optional quests, secret encounters, environmental puzzles, and paths that won't open until you've earned a specific ability or upgrade. That's pure Metroidvania loop, and for fans of that genre, it hits a satisfying rhythm. Explore, unlock, learn, repeat, and keep discovering new layers to the world as you go. But the thing that blew up social feeds wasn't just mechanics, it was the co-op situation. When the game's store page and trailers showed 2 characters and listed multiplayer support, tons of players assumed they'd be able to jump straight into a co-op experience with a friend or a family member. Then a bunch of folks bought it only to discover that, at least right now, the co-op isn't available immediately. It appears to be locked until you finish the game once. That has honestly become one of the loudest talking points about the game online. Not the combat, not the pixel art, not the story, but the fact that the co-op is not exactly what people expected. This launched a real debate. Is this false advertising, or did Sony just handle the listing badly? Some players are genuinely upset because they bought the game to play alongside someone else and now feel like they got shortchanged. Others are trying to defend it, saying co-op is in there, it's just gated behind finishing the story first, which isn't what most of us assumed going in. Beyond the drama, people have pretty mixed reactions to the actual gameplay loop. Some online commenters say the map and backtracking feel like classic Metroidvania goodness, with genuine areas that call for exploration and secret finds that make the world feel real. Others are a bit more critical. Some early user reviews say the combat doesn't quite have the visceral punch of the 3D titles, and that the pixel art feels kind of bland or muddy compared to expectations. A few folks online even describe the experience as generic or disappointing for what it promised, while others genuinely enjoy it and feel like it's a cool twist they didn't know they needed. What's funny is that somewhere in the crossfire, a chunk of the community says the combat does feel pretty good once you get going, and the exploration loop really starts clicking after you've unlocked a few key abilities. Some players even report playing for well over 10 hours and still finding new things to do, which, for a game that many thought might clock in at 5 or 6 hours, is kind of a pleasant surprise. There's also chatter about optimization and performance. A few players have mentioned occasional crashes or frame dips on PS5, though that's not universal. So it's clearly not perfect, and some aspects feel like a work in progress rather than a polished AAA blockbuster. But part of the charm, or frustration depending on who you ask, is that Sons of Sparta doesn't try to be Ragnarok 2 or another giant cinematic epic. It's something else entirely. A curious blend of retro aesthetic and modern franchise lore that feels like a passion project more than a blockbuster sequel. For the lore junkies out there, this game is a pretty interesting glimpse into the Spartan years of Kratos' life. You'll see him before any of the gods, before he got the Blades of Chaos, before he became the ghost of Sparta we all know. That alone is enough to pull in a lot of longtime fans who've been thirsty for more backstory. And hearing adult Kratos narrate parts of the game, with T.C. Carson returning for the role, gives it a layer of weight that ties it back to the larger God of War saga, even if the visuals and gameplay style are completely different. So personally, how do I feel about all of this? At first, I totally understood people shrugging it off. A 2D pixel game in the God of War franchise sounds odd on paper. But once you dive into it, the combat has tactical depth, the exploration feels genuinely rewarding, and the mythological world, even in 2D, has real personality. If you came in expecting another blockbuster AAA spectacle, you might be disappointed. But if you let go of those expectations and appreciate Sons of Sparta as a unique turn that experiments with genre and narrative, there's something here that can genuinely stick with you, even long after you beat it. For a retro fan like me, it is obviously a blockbuster. And that's all for now, everyone. Let me know in the comments about your thoughts on this 2D version of God of War. And I'll see you in the next one.
Before I was a father. Before I was a god. I was a Spartan.